Hello world, this is Victor Pemberton here again, giving you some upgrades on my trip, on my Arctic adventure, which is taking me through 7 countries, from Mula in Spain, and the Costa Blanca, to the northern reaches of the Arctic Circle in Norway. It's been quite an event so far, quite tiring. I am quite tired at the moment, but a good night's sleep always puts that right. The big trouble has been the traffic in France and in Switzerland and in Germany, where the cars are bumper to bumper for hundreds and hundreds of kilometers. And that's one of the reasons why I must apologize for not being able to keep to my schedule at lunchtime every day. And it's come a little later. And that's because I just cannot get back into an internet connection in time. But I'll do my best every day. This is my last couple of days in Europe for the time being, because the day after tomorrow, I shall be going to Denmark, staying with some friends of mine, some old friends. And after that, going to Frederikshavn and to Norway, to Oslo, before I start the great trek north via Trondheim to Bodø in the Arctic Circle. It's a great thrill, and I'm looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to sharing that moment with you. I've been trying to do these uploads every so often, these upgrades, and I'll continue to do so for as long as the technology hangs out. I've been clowning around a bit too, so I hope you'll forgive me. But tonight I'm being a little bit more serious, because there's 1 or 2 little things I want to talk to you about. First of all, observations. One of the interesting things about being on a trip like this, after all I am a writer, is to observe people. And what I have noticed on this trip is how people have become so similar, and especially the landscapes. I'm very sad that so many of the lovely historic buildings have been pulled down in France and in Switzerland and in Germany. Certainly in Frankfurt, I was there yesterday, and I was horrified to see the number of skyscrapers there. And it just seemed a very unnatural environment to me, as I saw hundreds of young men and women, and nearly all of them in black business suits or skirts, with satchels under their arms, rushing to these enormous buildings and getting in lifts. All I can hope is that I hope there's never a power failure. But they're all so lifeless. So I don't know. I really dislike them. And it was the same in Perpignan. That was my first stop. Perpignan used to be a lovely city, and now it's full of enormous apartment blocks. And that saddened me too. And the architecture doesn't suit me anyway. And then again, no, I have to say that being in Geneva was really a pleasure. Geneva is a lovely city, and I enjoyed being there. It's very interesting though, in both Geneva and in the German cities, the Frankfurt and mainly Frankfurt and Geneva, you hardly see a car that is less than 2 years old. They're rich cities. The people are rich there, and it shows. I tried very hard to do some fundraising in Geneva, but alas and alack, it wasn't possible. I wanted to hand out my posters, my little flyers about the Arctic adventure, but they weren't interested. I wanted to raise some money for help the heroes, but they didn't want to hear, even though most people there speak English. However, that's life. Now I'm in Hamburg, and Hamburg is a fascinating city. It's very cold. It's a big culture shock for me, after being in the heat of 38 degrees down in Spain on the Mediterranean coast. And I really find that difficult. The winds blow off the Baltic Sea it's a huge harbour, which I hope to try and explore tomorrow if I can, and give you some more observations about people. But people to me seem to be getting to be very alike. And it's very hard to distinguish between them now. I don't quite know what I mean by that, but well, perhaps I do. And then I wanted to talk about something. When I was speaking to you last night, I'm afraid I was a little down. I've been lonely. Let me explain what I mean by that. When I decided to take on this challenge, I knew that this would be a great endurance test, and it is, and it's worth every penny, as far as I'm concerned, to help those poor guys and gals who sacrificed so much for us. That was nothing. But one thing, it's not the driving, it's not the roads, it's not any of that. I can cope with all of that quite effortlessly. But what I am up against is loneliness. It's funny that I'm missing all my friends at home. Yes, all of you back there in Moola and in Benidorm. I'm missing you like mad. And I am finding that a bit difficult. But I'm rising above it, and I'm going to rise above it. And what would help would be if any of you could just drop me a little line occasionally. I can't speak to you during the day because I'm not near an internet connection. But in the evenings, I'm here as I am in my tiny little matchbox room in the hotel. And I can talk to you, and I can answer your WhatsApps or messages or whatever. But I find the essence of loneliness a little difficult to cope with. No one to talk to. I don't want to sound as though I'm being sorry for myself, but I am. But this trip is worth every kilometre of it. Because if I can raise enough money to help even one of our soldiers, then I think it would be a job well done. Clearly, my age has something to do with my loneliness, and that makes it a little bit more difficult. Now, I don't want anybody to be sad about that. I'm really opening my heart out really to you, to tell you the way I feel, but I'm okay. I've been out to have a little meal, a very late meal because I didn't get here until about 3:30 in the afternoon. And I'm going out to have a little meal tonight. There are dozens of cafes and restaurants around here. This hotel is situated right opposite the Hauptbahnhof, the central station of Hamburg. It's quite an impressive building, and I'll try and film it tomorrow so that you can see it when we can get the film together. But there are many interesting things that I've seen, and making progress has been difficult because of I think for a start, I chose the wrong weekend because I think it was being the first weekend in August is probably the first weekend of the children breaking up from school, and the roads were jammed to suffocation. And I have an observation about drivers is some of the worst drivers I've seen are in Germany. They're such bullies. I saw them driving right up to my fender behind the back of my car and flashing their lights for me to get out of the way. And I saw them doing it to other people as well. But they're bullies, and I hate that more than anything else. And driving in France was very bad. But in Switzerland, it was the same thing, really. I saw a lot of men and women stepping into huge chauffeur-driven limos, and I suppose I was a bit jealous, really. But I just wish even one of them had said, here, take whatever it was, 5 Swiss pounds or whatever. I've forgotten what the currency is now. And I did have a nasty experience with a woman who worked for the customs there, a girl of about 18 or 19, and she came over to my car at the frontier, and she started screaming at me, saying, "I've got to pay my tax." And I said, "What tax?" And she said, "What's the matter with you? Are you stupid or something?" And you know, it was my inclination to slap her, but I thought, well, I didn't want to sit in a cold Swiss jail with overnight with cow bells tinkling outside the cell window all night. But it turned out to be highway tax, which was 40 euros. And I thought, what on earth do they want 40 euros in Switzerland for highway tax? What does that do? And I really thought that was not the way to encourage tourists. But it's been very interesting, and I've met some interesting characters. Well, I haven't actually spoken. Well, I did speak to one, and I told that story yesterday, and I won't repeat it now because it's a bit racy and a bit naughty. But it is. I am delighted that I am progressing. I've now done 4 countries. This is my 4th country. 3 more to go. I should be going through Norway, Sweden, and Liechtenstein and Italy. 4 more. So I'm getting there, and I intend to get there. But what I want most of all, I hope I'll be able to do it, is to share that moment of reaching the Arctic Circle. It's quite an ordeal for an old chap. No, don't. That's a lie. That's a lie. For someone of my age, it's quite an ordeal. But I won't give up. I'm not the sort of person to give up, and it is quite an endurance. It's quite an ordeal in many ways, and sometimes I do feel it. And I lie in bed at night thinking about what I've seen during the day. But most of all, I lie there and I think about those guys and those girls who've sacrificed so much for us, and how desperate I am to try and do something for them. So wherever you're watching in the world, can I again make this plea to you? Please, 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 put your hand in your pocket. You Doctor Who fans who know me very well. I've done as much as I can for you over the years. It isn't very much to ask of you to put your hands in your pockets and give just a few coins even, or £1 or £2. It won't hurt you to do that. It's the cost of buying something at a Doctor Who convention, a trinket or something. So wherever you are in the world, not only Doctor Who fans, but fans of every description, and people of every description, think of what this world is turning into at the moment. It's a very dangerous world. And if we don't have men and women like the people we're trying to raise money for, there's no hope. Come on, join with me, let's do it. I'm all right, I'm okay, but I want you to put your hands in your pockets. Whether you're in Malaysia or Bulgaria or New York or Canada or Mexico or the Far East, Japan, come on Japan, a few yen wouldn't hurt you, and you in China too. This is part of humanity's fight back. We must help these guys. Join with me in doing that, will you please? I'm sorry I've gone on a bit tonight, but maybe we'll have a bit of fun tomorrow. Until then, think of me and I'll think of you. Good night.